My refutation speech is on CJ's speech about the dangers of aspartame on our mind and body. And aspartame is an artificial sweetener that's been used in the USA. It's used on diet soda, cereals, gums, Jell-O, yogurt, and even ice cream. His claim of fact is that the usage of aspartame has negative effects on human health. And I'll refute this by showing that the effects of aspartame is highly exaggerated, and he shows no proof to be more dangerous than its alternative. All right, his first supporting claim said that it causes many side effects on our health. These negative side effects include many neurological problems, including dizziness, blindness, difficulty hearing, and migraines, among other things. My refutation is that, like any other food or ingredient, it needs to be taken, digested, or eaten in moderation. And the daily established moderation, and the daily recommended moderation was made by the Food and Agricultural Organization and the World Health Organization, which is 40 milligrams of the artificial sweetener per kilogram of body weight. So to put these numbers in context, and the most would be in a soda, which contains 225 milligrams of the sweetener, and that would mean that a smaller person who is about 120 pounds would have to drink in excess of 9 sodas to fill any of these side effects, or a person about 200 pounds would have to drink about 16 diet sodas a day to fill the effects. And these sweeteners do have bad side effects, and it can be very dangerous to consume, but it's mainly for people who have a rare disease known as PKU, or phenylketonuria. And saying that something should be removed because a certain percentage of people have a bad effect to it is like saying that food should be removed because some people are allergic to foods, when they should just avoid them instead. And also he pointed out that methanol was in the aspartame and the dangers of methanol poisoning in our body, but also methanol is in fruits and vegetables, and some natural fruit juices have more methanol than aspartame contains. And also, in safety-wise, there's a health scare because the side effects showing up in testing of rats show that there's large doses of leukemia, increased levels of leukemia and lymphomas when the rats were fed large doses of it, and that sparked groups such as the Center for Science and the Public Interest to become highly question the safety of aspartame. And after that, the National Cancer Institute released results of a federal study in 2006 involving more than 500,000 adults ages 50 to 69 years old, and they concluded there was no evidence that aspartame was related to cancer risk in humans. And the study was praised by that same Center for Science and the Public Interest, who had questioned the safety of aspartame for almost 30 years prior to the test. His next supporting claim was that aspartame has a major role in the increase of obesity, and there was no evidence that I found that said aspartame or diet sodas will make one gain more weight than regular sodas, or the aspartame's alternative. And the only correlation that I could find with the studies was that the people who drank more diet sodas felt like they could eat more food because of the calories that they were losing. And because of this, I don't think the consumption of aspartame alone can be linked to obesity. And it's more of what people eat along with drinking the aspartame or eating the aspartame. And also, his third claim was that aspartame caused safety concerns when first being tested by the FDA. And I refute that, saying that if aspartame had gone through shady practices, as he said, through the FDA, I wasn't able to find concrete evidence to prove that. And even if it was in 1981, and it was approved for many different things for the next 13 years, including diet sodas and yogurt and such. And even claiming that the FDA was biased towards approving aspartame, other committees such as the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives of the World Health Organization and the Food and Agricultural Organization, the Scientific Committee on Food and European Commission, and regulatory agents in more than 100 countries have approved aspartame and found it to be safe for use. So it's gone through more testing than most other ingredients actually go through to prove its safety. And I hope that you can find that aspartame is indeed safer than CJ had claimed it was. Thank you.
There's sort of an echo going on in here. We heard this speech just a few minutes ago. Yeah, and I know we had multiple people doing the response on it. It's okay. I thought you did a nice job following the structure. On the first point, you minimized the risk pretty effectively by giving us the statistical ratio at which it's supposed to be acceptable and giving us the context in which people would have to consume it in order to experience any of those effects. By the way, I think there's one other thing that you ought to add to that, and that is that that's just to reach the level at which the effects might occur, which is a relatively small percentage anyway. So in other words, you know, to have the 7% chance that you're going to get any of this, you first have to consume this much to even be subject to the 7% chance, which minimizes the risk a little bit more. So I think that that's something that you could add on top of it, but I thought you did a pretty good job on that. The explanation about the PKU is okay, but I do think you want to cite your evidence on that particular point. I like the analogy that you make to food allergies, and that seems pretty reasonable. If you had some data that showed that people were aware that they had the PKU issue, that was something that would be easy for people to then avoid, that would be pretty straightforward. You diminish the risk of the methane pretty effectively, although once again you need the evidence citation here. I don't doubt that what you're saying about all the fruit juices having methane in them is probably true, but you want to give us a source citation on that. The federal study on the cancer risks, I thought you did a better job on that. You cited that very clearly, and the nice thing about it is that you also take it as a source of reluctant testimony from the Center for Science and the Public Interest, and you take that sort of reluctant testimony to add an aura of credibility to that particular study because it got boosted by them. The labeling on the second point was pretty clear. I think you kind of explain what you think the advocate's point here is. I'm not exactly sure that you've refuted it very clearly, but since it skips by pretty quickly, I'm not sure how I would assess those particular arguments. The one argument at the end, though, I thought that was pretty effective when there's some discussion about what the hanky-panky was that was involved at the FDA, when you could then follow up with, multiple agencies around the world, 100 other countries doing this, the likelihood that this is some, manipulation, some payoff or something like that going on, I think that seems to really mitigate that particular point. Don't forget, you started off with a point on this that was pretty effective. This was in 1981, so we have nearly 30 years of data on this, and the closest anybody can come to is an alleged link to some potential harms, and that's it. We don't have anybody that has been classified as being sick because of aspartame poisoning. We don't have anybody who we can attribute an illness to because of high consumption of aspartame. We don't have anybody that we know has gained weight because they consumed aspartame, and the advocate doesn't provide any reason to believe that this is true. So that I think would be a good summary. Oh, somebody just used some hand cleaner, didn't they?